Alright, so this will be a quick blockout showing you how I go about, let's say, blocking out a stealth satellite. I think you called it stealth satellite. Yeah. I'm gonna use some of your references and then I'll use some that I found as well. And I'll just show you like the rough thought process. Obviously, this is not a serious project, but so first thing I would do is pinpoint what makes a satellite, and in my opinion, it tends to be a relatively small body. I don't have a person scale here. Actually, that is a good point. Let me just hang on. All right. So in general, always have a scale model, and then you can dictate size from there. So I think you said, what did it say? You did say the scale somewhere. I think it said like car sized or something, but it might be bigger than car sized. I scale. Both scale weapons to by the end. Okay, I'm not sure, but let's just say I don't know, satellite scaled. Some satellites are huge, some are not so big. So if I just gonna kind of in and move on the wall. Actually, good point. I don't know where the center of this piece of sheet is. There you go. Okay. So, and by the way, I am no Blender wizard here. Origins of 3D cursor. Right. So, let's pull that out. And let's have a look. Yeah, I need to just center this. So, obviously, the idea here is to get a rough block out of what a satellite looks like. Now, if you were to ask most people what they're looking at, if I just move this dude, without any information, that's quite satellite looking. So this is where readability comes in, right? I've just done 3 cubes, or 1 cube, 2 cuboids, but you can see that this already has a satellite vibe. Now, you can use a cylinder. To be honest, like I said, the satellite reads as a satellite because of this scale. It's not actually because of the shapes. So you can have a circle in the middle. You can probably have a triangle in the middle. I think here you wrote that you want a very fat front, and you also wrote that it's very angular. So what I would then do is go, well, the middle doesn't matter. I can get away with actually probably some quite weird shapes. So I'll just bevel that and make it a bit more angular. I'll bevel this side too, and pull that forwards. And then it's a question of, do you want to pull it forwards, pull it backwards, either one. I'm going to scale it. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to rearrange proportions. I don't know what this is going to be like or what it's going to look like, but this is just to get a quick base in, right? You're just trying to get your base shapes in. I wish it was a bit higher. So okay, and then I'm going to pull that out a bit as well. So, there you go. Okay, so this kind of reads as a satellite. If I look at this picture of a satellite, we can see there's like obviously big fins. They tend to have like a framework on the fin. So this is how I would start using reference, right? So what I've done is actually I've looked at your reference. You've got some good reference. This person always comes to mind when I look at this kind of work because he's very good. So you've got some military reference. Mike Hill. That is Anduril. Yeah, because I've got some old one here. But what I'm going to do is I'll show you like how reference can be used in very different ways. So here's a petrol station, for example, completely unrelated to a satellite, but it has this you can see underneath here, there's actually a lot of interest over there. To be honest, the yellow is interesting and it reminds me of the gold that's on a satellite, which is a good point. So what I like doing is I do like blocking in initial materials. So if I just gonna make a new one, I'm gonna call this solar panel. Now it doesn't matter whether you're going to use solar panels like this, it probably isn't very stealthy. if it's friggin' shiny metallic, but it doesn't matter. The point is, you can begin to get some idea. And right now, if I show someone this, they're gonna know that's a satellite, because solar panels, not solar panels, no, it is solar panels. Solar panels are associated with satellites, right? Because obviously that's their main like power source. So even just doing that helps a lot when it comes to readability. Now, again, you're doing a stealth satellite, but at this point, you're just trying to make sure that people know it's a satellite to begin with, and then you can add the stealth part after. Reference like this is useful for details, but not useful for large picture, because if I ask you, what is this? Most people do not know. In fact, I don't know. So you can tell that this is not a readable design. Now, if you're a NASA nerd, sure, you might know, but who are you making this for? Right? If it's on ArtStation, it's for ArtStation people. If it's in a cinema, it's for average people on the road. They are not NASA nerds. They're not rocket scientists, so they won't know what they're looking at if you copy it. So you're trying to keep it as basic as you can, large picture, and then when you zoom in, you can begin to use these kind of details, because no one can really see them and they don't really matter that much, and only the people who care about the details will look at the details. So what I will do is I'll show you how I'll use non-military, non-satellite details. For example, this, I like this. Something I liked about this, right, is like, I like the way this has so much layering and it has directionality, right? So something you could easily do is I could just copy this and delete that, and then I could go, okay, I would like if, you know, there's a light, 2 lights at the bottom of this satellite on the back, right? Satellites do tend to have lights. So let's just say I do this. I'm gonna just set this to emissive red. Where's emission? That, and strength, and then fly. And then I'm gonna mirror it. I need to be in the wrong place, but it's fine. So I can be like, okay, I've got the 2 lights. I've got this surface. So let me. And notice, right, I'm trying to avoid it being even. Look how even that is. That's crazy, because I copied and pasted it, right? So I'll make this thinner, and then I'll make this kind of shape, and this can kind of sandwich underneath, right? Now, I don't know what this is right now. I can figure out the function of what this is later. I'm doing this for the art. I'm not doing this for the function right now. And you can almost put most functions into most art, assuming that, like, you're not doing something crazy. So this could be anything. It could be a battery pack, could be some rear board sensor. You know, it's sci-fi. You can make stuff up. Given that we're not trying to be super realistic, if that makes sense. So if I just look back at this reference, we've got this really interesting tech under quite simple stuff, right? So what I'll do is I'll just put in some blocking for tech. So let's just say, sorry, pressing the wrong button. I'm gonna scale this, and something you'll notice about, right, is scale is very important. So one of the things I think when I was looking at your designs is that scale really dictates. Oh, sorry, hang on. Yeah, you need both of these. Scale dictates importance, right? So if you, I mean, you can model whatever you want on this, and almost no one's gonna see it. It's not that important, right? So when we're looking at details, right, think about what the big major function is. Make sure it reads. So this reads as a satellite. Then whatever this is, I can do what I want with it, right? It doesn't matter, like, whether I bevel these edges or not. It's not like, you know, it's not like it matters from here. So a big thing to keep in mind is you're trying to make sure that the first read is always satellite, 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 satellite. Second read needs to be stealth, right? Now, the fastest way to make this stealthy is to probably slap a stealth texture on it. That's rocket. But this is kind of stealth texture from like an F-35 or F-22. That's what most concept artists do. You could also model it in like flat panels, like an F-117 stealth bomber. But I mean, that's a dated version of stealth, right? It's like 1970s stuff. So it depends. Like, if you're trying to make a 1970s esque satellite, you could do it that way. Or if you just want to be inspired by them, you could do it that way. This one does not read as stealth whatsoever. I get it. Like, you know, small surface area at the front and a very shiny material, so you bounce everything off. I get the idea, but that's only because like I've looked at a lot of things that talk about frontal area, and I also like I just know a decent amount about cars. But like most people are not going to even read this as stealth. It just looks like a shiny cone, right? So that's something else you want to keep in mind. Like even the reference in itself is not readable, let alone if you try and use the reference to make a design, it will be even less readable. I'm gonna go on a tangent here actually, but something about this, right? Because we call things design language, and it's called language because it's a form of communication. And the issue is, if you like basically Chinese whispers, right? If the initial conversation can't be understood, then whatever you repeat from that conversation will be even less understood, because every time something is said to someone, it gets fragmented, right? If I say blue, your blue is not my blue, and then the blue you have in mind is a different blue, and then if you say blue to the next person, their blue is like two blues off my blue, right? There's a chance that their blue might be actually my blue, but it's very unlikely. So when you're looking at design and references, you're trying to make sure that the source is very obvious, so that by the time you've added your stealth, whatever that is, they can still kind of see the source in there, and then they can go, okay, it's a stealth satellite. If the source, like this one, is already hard to understand, your one's going to be impossible to understand. So that's why this, for example, is actually technically a bad reference. This is a better reference because it's very identifiable as a satellite, right? But yeah, anyway, that's that run over. So back to the reference using, because that's what you were asking about. So if you look here, there's actually this framework patterning, and then you can see the thickness of this. I was talking about thickness and the concepts you're doing, and you can see how thin this piece is here, right? So that's just simply put kind of like, let's just say primary thickness and secondary thickness, right? If you zoom out, primary thickness, secondary thickness, tertiary thickness. That's the third read, right? So all good art is basically very fractal, much like the universe. So it's always a case of getting strong reads in terms of color palette, right? So most of this image is white, some of it is red, some of it is yellow, right? The red is actually quite intense, right? Now the red is small, the yellow is big, but red is a darker value, and a circle is a stronger shape than a straight line. The reason why a circle is a stronger shape than a straight line when it comes to visual attention is because eyes are circular, the earth is circular, the sun is circular. Humans are used to looking at circles for very important things. So circles are stronger, like they draw stronger attention than straight lines do, for example, right? That's like evolutionary biology, whatever. But the point is that so you need to know when to balance and when to use certain things, right? If you make the central part, let's just say I go scrap that and I go, I want a cylinder, right? Let's say you say I want a cylinder shape here. This shape is going to draw a lot of attention, right? If it's this big, it's just too much. You can see it's just too much. This is why scale is so important. This big is still too much, right? So this circle has to be small to balance out due to the nature of how concentrated a circle is. And that's something you want to keep in mind, right? This also reads like a satellite. This is what I meant, right? Look how basic we are. We all know these are satellites, even though I changed the whole body shape from a somewhat cube to now a circle, right? I could probably change this to a triangle. It's still going to be a satellite. So that's what you're trying to keep. You're trying to keep that identity all the way through. But fundamentally, the message you're sending through space on a satellite, this message I'm sending through to you through satellites is fundamentally be a satellite, right? Not be something weird, not something that someone might ask, what is that? No, satellite, right? Now, the language in which you say it's a satellite can change, but fundamentally, the message of satellite needs to be received, right? And also, the person receiving it needs to speak the same language in which you sent it. This is literally like real life, right? This is just how communication works. So, it's just important to understand that as long as you have the good base, you'll be fine. And then everything else, like for example, I like this panel, right? So I can just go, okay, I want a panel here. Panel doesn't have to be the same shape. I'm just making a panel because I'm inspired by the panel. It can be a different shape. I'm going to choose to do the same shape, right? No one's going to clock that I took it from here, because I'm going to not make it stupidly obvious. But let's just say, okay, so we've got a panel. I currently don't like the shape because it feels too even to me, so I'm going to pull this out. I've just realized that this is not mirrored. To be honest, it doesn't need to be mirrored. And then it's got, okay, fine. It's got like this suspension that connects to the wheels. Do I have wheels? I don't have wheels, at least not for now. However, let's just say, what happens if I have suspension that's connected to these things? What moves these things, right? I don't know what moves these things. I'm going to add something in that moves these things now. So I'm going to use this. I'm just going to reuse stuff I've got. By reusing stuff, you can also have some happy accidents, by the way. So it's worth doing once in a while. Can I... Oh, goodness. Blender. God. Anyway. Alright, so... right now, I'm adding this, which is also lining up with what you said about, I think on the, what are you doing? Oh, it's that, innit? Yeah, weirdo. You said about having detail at the back and an angular front, right? Obviously, this isn't an angular front, but that can be fixed any moment. So maybe it's a question of like, does this connect front and back, you know, in an interesting way, right? You might have seen I did this for the, let me see. Well, I did this for the thing that was kind of a satellite, didn't I? Which was this. It was a satellite dish, right? And similar thing, right? You got these pieces that come off. And this is a satellite dish, but it's like carbon fiber and kind of sporty, right? So this was a great idea. This was a great example. Sorry, not idea. Great example of like, oh, how do you make a kind of satellite dish? Obviously, a ground-based one. It's not stealth, but it's kind of sport-based, right? And it's just about getting the big picture. We know this is a satellite dish. You just know it is, right? There's no questioning about it. All of this extra stuff doesn't matter. It's just kind of like added on top, right? But you get the idea. You can have that, and then, you know, we can see that there's this bolt here, right? So what you would do is you'd be like, okay, I know, and you know, technically you should make a kit bash first if you're gonna make reusable bolts. But notice the scale differences I'm going into. So I'm gonna scale this all the way down. So now we're talking about, and not that you should do detail this early, you shouldn't, but because I'm trying to show you like kind of how I go about it. You can kind of see. So we go, okay, there's going to be a bolt here, and there's going to be a bolt here, and let's say this bolt is going to go into a bent plane, right? So what I'll do is I'll swap this 90 degrees. Oh god, 90 degrees in the other direction, minus 90. Oh, sorry. Right, so like I'll put that into there, and then I'm going to extrude that out. Pull this out a bit. Okay. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do it. And by the way, I've not designed anything in Blender, so this is very foreign to me. But oh well. So I'm gonna bevel that, and then solidify. So this is gonna be like a panel in which connects these two bolts, right? Maybe you want to do these holes in that. You could, right? Can you see how I took from a suspension and I'm applying it to a panel that connects this bolt over here, right? I'm not looking at a satellite right now. I could take part of the spring if I wanted to. I won't, because you said it's a stealth satellite. I don't think it's going to be bouncing in space. So that's the function aspect that stops me taking the spring. It might look cool if I put a spring in there though. Okay, sure. Maybe I'll put a spring for the battery compartment. So in the event that it hits something, the battery compartment is like spring loaded. I don't know, right? Like you can blah 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 your stuff, right? Now all that matters is if you do the spring should not be this big. If you make the spring this big, it's going to destroy your satellite, and you're not going to understand. Like people are going to go, why is there a big spring there? If you do a spring that big, no one cares. They go, oh, look at that detail, it's amazing. So everything is about scale of detail. It's not just the detail or even just the function. It's the scale of detail in conjunction with the function. Oh look, red gun. I'm making this red, right? Like it's really this easy. Like I mean, this is not easy. I lied. I absolutely lied. This is not easy. It's just I've done this a lot. It's not easy, but like it's metallic. It's red. It's very shiny. So I'm gonna make this one very shiny, right? And now you've got your little accent color. Now, if you do too much red, it's gonna destroy the design again. So this is the point. Everything needs to be balanced, and balance is dependent on taste and who you ask, and that's just complicated. But the point is that the balance can be it can be figured out over time. Taste adjusts over time, but also you can just ask people and they'll kind of point stuff out. Why is the red so bright? Why is the red so shiny? And you can, if you have a valid reason for it, then you can keep it, and if you don't have a valid reason for it, you'll probably want to remove it. Oh, you said you want a camera. I'm going to take this piece because I realized that reusing pieces is nice, lazy, and quick. I'm going to bevel it so it's a completely different shape. I'm going to put that down there, and I'm going to scale it a bit because the camera actually is autonomous. So the camera needs to be visible because we know it's autonomous. So it actually has a good level of importance. Cameras tend to have this kind of gold tint, don't they? So I'm just going to do camera. No, they have like a gold glass. I can't remember how to make glass very quickly again. Unfortunately, I am Blender noob. So for now, just like decent roughness. Does alpha let me do that, or do I need to do settings? Oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Metallic roughness. Yeah, sure. Alpha. Yeah, oh god, you're differing like a let me add a new one, just assign that. I don't want it assigned to the whole thing, so I'm just gonna make a grey and assign that. Oh, can you not? Yeah, you can, okay. So whatever, you have a glass thingy over there at the front, and inside there would obviously be another cylinder for the camera lens, and you can geek out over camera details. I've done it so many times, I'm not going to do it now. And you'll have like a big piece in there, that's the primary, and then you'll have a smaller piece, that's like the secondary, and they'll have their own lenses, and you do that whole thing of like the usual what do you call it, the kind of the extrude. You like extrude it in, and it goes in, and then it goes extrude in, and it goes in, and camera details galore. Again, you zoom out, can't see it. So and there's loads of reference as to what cameras look like. Here's a kitchen. I absolutely don't like this kitchen, but you know what? That part's kind of cool. I like this, right? So you don't need, again, you can just go, okay, I like that there's a slant underneath there, there's a pocket of darkness, and then there's this other like surface that comes across it. So maybe on the camera lens, let's say this is that. Maybe I want a gap below, and then I want a slanted material, which I'm going to reuse again, because it's faster than me remodeling it. Delete that. And I'm just gonna, that's now the metal piece, and then let's just extrude that down, and this will be the white piece. So this, I can just take away them. Oh, take away the, what are you doing? Oh, okay. I can add a new material, call it gray metal, and this will be darkish gray, metallic, and quite rough. Too dark. Metal doobie, too dark. And then I'm gonna put that there, and this can be white. go. Oh, no. White. There you go. Assign. No, you have to do it by face. Oh, it's not. Okay, white. And then roughness. Okay. So I've literally taken that part of the fridge and just put it underneath here. And then maybe it goes up and then back. And that can be white again. Right? Literally, I've put the fridge thing over here. And is it working? I don't know. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I prefer it smaller. Center of mass. Smaller, but wider. Put up. Maybe I want to tilt that. Right, so you're just messing around with things, and eventually something cool will come from the stuff you mess around with. I mean, that's cool. How would I use that here? I don't really know. Let's have a look. I mean, I like that diagonal, and I like that juxtaposition between the diagonal and the connecting pieces. What if I copy and paste this? Take this one, turn off the solidify. Oh, there's no solidify on it. It's just a surface. All right, faces. Bring that across and then extrude that. So this extrusion here is not the same as this, but I got the idea of this coming in, then coming across from this. Does that make sense? So it's not even direct, but it has obviously influenced. Now I'm just messing around to see something actually. Let's see. And I do this all the time. I play around with things. I mean, that looks cool. Cool. Bevel it. That's a happy accident. I'm keeping that. Solidify. All right, cool. So we now have two surfaces. Right there. And a top one and an upper one. I'm going to move this up and see what happens if I move it down, up. Okay, I'm going to leave it where it is. I'm going to delete these. Maybe I prefer these ones more. I think I do. So I'm going to take this and I will... What I'll do is I'll rotate it. Rotate it. Oh, sorry. How do I... Where are you? Why are you... Wait, no. Oh, I'm not on rotate. Duh. Alright, so... You know what though? I like both. I like having the angle, and I also like having a sharper angle. So now I'm going to split this. What are you doing? Oh, because there's two of you? Is that why? Yeah, okay. I'm going to split these two, and I'm going to bring another one here. And I do this a lot. This is more like my own taste, I guess. I'm going to rotate this one. So I've got off angle, on angle. Let me just check if I... Nope, prefer that one. Okay, and I'm going to move that back. Extrude it. Let's see what that looks like. Don't know what this is going to look like. I'm just having a look. All right, there you go. Look, our satellite is looking cool. I don't have reference for this. I've not looked at anyone's concept art. This is just the new shape, right? You've seen how I've done this. So 7 weeks later, right, the satellite will probably look pretty damn good, because I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to look at it, I'm not going to like certain parts, I'm going to redo them, and it's just going to get better and better and better and better and better. That's basically the process. You can have things like mirroring, echoing. So you've got this feature here, so reuse the feature somewhere else. That's always a good one. The reason why you want to reuse features is because design language, you use the same word multiple times. That's what makes a language, right? You've got 26 letters. You don't have an infinite amount of letters. You have 26 letters, and then you have a finite amount of words, and most of the words you reuse, and gets used all the time, right? So you want to echo things in the language. When you echo certain things, so this angle and this angle, it becomes part of the design language. So you see a Lamborghini and you go, oh, a Lamborghini is a car with this design language. They tend to use these words. The words are shapes, and for a Lamborghini, it's hexagons, for example, right? So Lamborghinis use hexagons as part of their design language, and that's the familiar words they use in their language. So with this satellite, for example, I now have this angle, which I'm making a familiar thing, right? If I want to go one step further, I can even put a smaller one down here. Like, I'm not saying do this, but you get the idea. Like you can choose to kind of overdo it, and it will become really clear. It'll become this kind of like moniker. Is that what it's called? A moniker, like Moniker, not Monica, but so yeah, you can get the idea of like, if you do that, then your eye begins to catch the pattern, right? Now, if you establish a strong enough pattern, like I talked about with the Audi font, what will happen is, like, maybe you're watching a movie and this satellite has been in 7 movies. You'll zoom out, I'll see these 2 lines and I'll go, that's that stealth satellite, right? Like, instantly I'll recognize that's that stealth satellite. Like, Aston Martin Valkyrie, this car over here, you can show me any square foot of this car, I know it's this car, right? Because I've looked at every single part of this car. I've looked in 3D, I've looked on car models, I have the car model, I've looked at everything. So it's got an established language with me, and so that's basically what you're trying to establish with your design, right? Like, this is gray with look at that. Like, even from here, like if I just zoom out, right, that's still readable. Like, I still know, oh, it's that stealth thing, right? Because it's just got such a clear read, right? So that's what happens when you reuse things. You begin to establish a language of understanding, and that language connects everything together, because everything's about communication and everything here is communicating, right? And the person actually literally walks between these, right? So the communication is quite literal. It's not even metaphorical. It's both literal and metaphorical. So that's basically like how that works. This thing looks like a cool kind of engine piece. That's cool. I don't know if there's more I need to say. I think I've kind of said most things. But yeah, that's fundamentally it, right? Like, and what, like, I've just made this shape. I don't have functionality. So if I go like, okay, what powers this? Well, the answer is I don't friggin' know. So, but what I can do is I can go, okay, I definitely want some thrusters. I know you said something about thrusters, right? And does the satellite only fly forwards, backwards? Like, how does it go? Something I'm gonna just point out as well is, like, there's obviously a diagonal coming in right here, and I like that diagonal. I don't want to lose it. So with the thruster, I might want to push the diagonal here and ensure that it actually stays. Right now the thruster is too big. It's annoying me. That's an accident. I didn't mean to do that. So and I'm staying in line with the horizontality. It's not a word. Horizontal nature, horizontal pattern over here. This doesn't mean the thruster can't come straight out. It can. Right, it just means that the thing I'm connecting it to is not going straight out. And this is a trick I always do to get my way, right? I get to make a thruster that makes sense, right? It's not just continually pushing the vehicle down. It can push the vehicle backwards, but also it means that I get to keep the diagonal shape. So I'm just putting the thruster within here, and this will be the thing that like goes and shoots out thrust, right? And that's just gonna delete this. And bevel these. Oh goodness. Okay. Wait, what do you mean you're backwards? Why are you backwards? Oh. Alright, there you go. And then you can just imagine that this is the thruster. Alright, so technically the thruster should get thinner as it goes along, so I'm just going to join this here and soft select it and scale it inwards. That's too much. 5. Oh no, don't do that. There you go. And then stretch out, right? You get the idea. Alright, so yes, that allows the diagonal in there. If you want to go stealth bomber on it, you can go stealth bomber on it. I will not. Oh yes, okay. So take this, right? This is product design. This is product design. This is industrial design. Industrial design and product design do have like obviously the crossovers, but I mean in terms of like, this is for human to touch. This is not for human to touch. Do not touch, right? So you can choose. Like, do you want a satellite that looks like it's designed like an iPhone, right? Or do you want a satellite that looks like it's designed by NASA? Those are two completely separate questions, and neither one is wrong. We know in real life it's got to be designed by NASA or something like NASA, SpaceX. We know it's not going to be designed like an iPhone. But the cool thing about this not being an engineering project is that we can get away with asking what happens if it was designed like an iPhone, right? So this is why I asked before, who's it for, right? Like, who's using it, right? Are we trying to sell this to like people who are design nerds, who like product design? Because if you are, you do want to push that, and that's what Anduril does. Anduril makes military products that look very nice. They do not look purely functional. They look aesthetic, right? Like they use freaking Helvetica. Like they're like a tech company, right? Like obviously it's a military company, duh, but like it's trying to push the tech vibe even in the design of the product. Look at them, come on. So so it's about understanding that you can get away with this, actually. Not everything has to be ugly or purely functional. Obviously most things that are functional tend to be aesthetic, but not always. This is still functional. It's not that aesthetic. So you have a choice. You do have a choice, and you could go product design on this, or you can try and push it. I want to go full functionality, print this out and NASA scientist loves me straight away, right? Whichever one you want to go for, that doesn't really matter. The point is that like most people are going to appreciate seeing both, especially on places like ArtStation. We do not care like that. Not like majorly. On Reddit, they're going to roast you if you make any mistakes, but like, it doesn't really matter otherwise, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. These references are actually good. You could technically replace this circle piece with like this kind of missile front. It'd look way more stealthy instantly. You could also slap on the generic stealth kind of material onto like any of the flat pieces, and it would look stealthy instantly. It would actually look quite quickly like a stealth satellite, right? But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, something that I will say is it's always good to also get repetition in where you can. So for example, this piece here, really, I already know, go away fly, I already know that oh sorry, my self-selection is still on. I already know that I want this to be what do you call it, can I see wireframe? Oh, I can't. Oh, it's on the other one. Where are you? Okay, I already know that I want to have this in squares. I don't know why it's doing that. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Yeah, I'm still a Blender noob, so you're just gonna have to forgive that. Alright, there you go. I mean, sure, it's readable. Why did I do that? Okay, hang on. Alright, and then let's just do that again. I'm gonna try and make sure they're squares. Obviously do this with more precision than I am. And then if I just select all and edge split, wherever the flip that is. I think the edge split should come first, right? And then I'm going to, I can't remember, you're not split yet, are you? I can't remember how to do this. Edge split, there's like a setting. Oh, split angle. I think like everything gets split, right? Nope. Is it that? Everything gets split? Oh my god, I can't remember how to do this. Okay, let me just try something quick. What happens if I do that? Okay, I'll do that. Edge split, edge angle, sharp edges. Just edge split everything. Edge split everything. How do I do this? I forgot. Dang. But yeah, there's a way of doing this, and basically it will split all of these over, and then you have all the squares, right? Did that work? That worked. Thank you. That worked. All right. If I select that and just solidify, then you'll get this, and if I could bevel everything, yeah. So can make it a subtle bevel as well. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Let's have a look. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, like that obviously reads a lot more like a satellite because of, you know, the usual frame stuff that we're used to seeing. And then sure, if you want you know, some interesting frame parts to go across. They can continue that design language like I talked about earlier. Center of mass, and notice the scale. I'm pushing the scale way down. So every time I'm adding something big in, I'm reducing scale because I don't want competition. I don't want these things to argue over which is more important. I want it to be clear, like, okay, this is the important thing. Why do you always do that? Flip. Okay. You know, I don't want this to compete with that. So I make it smaller, right? And it's because, you know, remember, you're trying to talk in a conversation. Certain words get emphasis. Other words are a side character, right? You don't want the entire sentence to be equal intensity, which is what AI used to sound like, which is why people hated it. So obviously it's better with undulation now. But yeah, it's fundamentally, it really is communication. I would have to do a whole essay on this. I don't have time. This is already 40 minutes. How did it get to 40 minutes? Anyway, point is, you can see how I'd go about something like this. I'm just going to extrude that down. I'm going to solidify this. And this is just a form of layering, because layering is beautiful. Layering is love. Hello? Hello? Where are you? Wait, what is going on? All right, hang on. It's the bottom one here. I'm going to isolate this because I can't see anything. I'm going to extrude that back up, and I'm going to connect that to that. Lovely. Ooh, lovely. I'm not worried about aligning things right now. I'm just trying to get a big picture in there. All right, there you go. So you can see what I just did there, and that's boring. It could come out at an angle. That would be more interesting, wouldn't it? Like, you know, if it was like whoop or something, but I'm not going to worry about that. You get the point. There is a strong form of repetition, and different angles are being added to things. I'm going to pull that in. What does that look like? I don't know. Early days. But yeah, and basically I would do this process probably for, like, if this was my own design, easily 2 more days. And on the second day, this would be like, I mean, what? This has been 40 minutes. So imagine like 3-4 hours, and then 2 days of that, 8 hours, 10 hours. This would be a whole lot way forwards. I'd have everything. Battery blocked out. You can even do text, right, as well. Like, Blender's got quite a cool text system that, like, Maya wishes it could have. One of the only things that Blender's, no, I'm joking. Where is... Where's text? I don't know. I'm a Blender noob. Where is text? No, it's somewhere here, isn't it? Hang on. Yeah, I really cannot remember. Maybe I'm blind and it's right in front of me. I'm really not seeing it though. But anyway, you can write like, okay, satellite, camera, battery, exhaust. So when you look at it, you remember what you're building and where the things you're building are. And basically you just go through a whole thing of like, what does this need? It doesn't need cooling, doesn't need, obviously it's in space, it's a bit tricky, but like, you know, if I'm used to doing cars, so it's like, where's the radiators, where's the cooling, where's the brakes, where's the engine, where's, you know, you can ask where's each thing. This picture I have here, like, you can take reference, like, okay, I want a circuit board, and you can copy the literal layout of this, and this one's yellow, and this one's yellow. Maybe this is the instrument panel for like controls inside. I know you said this is all it's unmanned, but maybe there's like a panel on the side for maintenance, and the maintenance panel has this as its board, literally squares placed in this position. You can get inspiration from literally anything, like anything, and everything. Look, color palette, blue, little tinge of red, but it's not a strong red, it's a kind of weak red, right? Maybe this is a light that you want a light somewhere that's out of focus when you make the key art, but it kind of has this feeling, you know. Rain, maybe somewhere on here there's like this kind of humid part where like water particles kind of catch on the window of your spy satellite. And again, right, like this is from a random image of a hand on a glass in a car, right? Like it's got nothing to do with satellites. So that's how I use reference. You'll notice that this doesn't look like anything on this page, right? You saw me do that. I didn't go, let me take this. I don't care about that. I'm looking at like, oh, look, there's a soft edge and a hard edge. I'm going to put a soft edge here, right? And then I'm going to have a hard edge. Like, can you see I did not take the shape? I took the softness and hardness. right? I can take, oh, there's a rule of 3 over here. I'm not going to take the shape. I'm just going to take, oh, let's get a star of 3 shapes. Maybe I want another one here, right? So you can do that, or you can say, I want this piece, and you can take that, right? So it's just a question of like, what resolution are you trying to take inspiration from, if that makes sense? Is it the big picture, or is it that I want to take this huge piece, but I want to apply it just to a few of these pieces over here? You can do that, and no one's going to be able to trace it back to this. The reason why some designs are traceable is because they take a big piece for a big piece, and then you go, oh, that reminds me of the Bugatti. It's like, yes, that's going to remind you of the Bugatti. If you take this big piece and, like I said, you put it on somewhere that's tiny, no one's ever going to notice, right? So that's kind of how you want to use that part. Anyway, I'm done. I've rambled a long time.